You are listening to the IoT For All Media Network.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the IoT For All Podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Chacon, and today's guest is Wienke Giezeman, the CEO and co-founder of The Things Industries and the initiator of The Things Network at The Things Industries. And to give you a little background on both, Things Industries is a LoRaWAN connectivity and service provider, and The Things Network is a global community of over 150,000 active members from over 100 companies around the world. They put on a fantastic event. This one is the end of March in Amsterdam. I sincerely promise that it is something you want to check out. To get into the episode real quick, we talk a lot about digital transformation and its combination and role with IoT. We talk about how enterprises can adopt IoT, kind of barriers to doing that, how to do it the best, and the future of LoRaWAN as a connectivity option for the IoT industry. But before we get into that, customers choose LoSANT because its unique low-code approach to application development offers a level of agility and speed to market that is hard to find anywhere else. LoSANT provides the foundation and lets you focus on delivering the IoT applications that your customers require. Start now and see how the Internet of Things can transform your business. Visit losant.com, LOSANT.com. And without further ado, please enjoy this episode of the IoT For All podcast. Welcome, Wienke, to the IoT For All show, or I guess I should say welcome back to the IoT For All show. Thanks for taking some time to chat with me today.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me back.
Yeah, it's fantastic to have you. Let's kick this off with having you give a quick introduction about yourself, some background, any information you think will be relevant to maybe some of our listeners out there who haven't had a chance to hear you speak.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, so my name is Wienke Giezeman, CEO and co-founder of The Things Industries. And our company specializes in helping enterprises be successful with their LoRaWAN solutions. And basically, LoRaWAN helps you in building sensor-to-cloud applications. So you need a specific temperature measurements from your operations. LoRaWAN technology allows you to send that data over a IoT infrastructure into your cloud applications or your enterprise resource planning or your low-code, no-code platform. And we have a developer approach to it. We help companies around the world be successful with that.
Fantastic. And you also started the Things conference, correct?
Yeah. So we started off our company 6 years ago, and we saw two things. First of all, the IoT technology is still very immature, and we saw that it was really hard to build something successful end-to-end. So we thought we need better developer tools, and we need an ecosystem of knowledge and of companies that can partner to build these specific components that are necessary in the IoT stack. And that was the Things Network. And Things Network was always around events. We launched with an event. We had many meetups in our ecosystem, in our open source ecosystems around the world. And after a year, we launched the Things Conference, which is now a global recognized IoT conference. And we do it, a big one in Amsterdam every year, but we also have one in Hyderabad, a big one in Sydney, in London, different places in Europe, and we have a next one coming. The Big Things Conference is back in Amsterdam, the 24th and 25th of March.
Fantastic. Well, we'll talk more about that in a bit. I wanted to dive into a couple different topics throughout our conversation today. The first one I wanted to talk about was around digital transformation and IoT. So those terms are used sometimes interchangeably, but I know they're not exactly the same. IoT kind of plays more into the overall idea of digital transformation. So talk to me from your perspective and what your company does on how digital transformation and IoT kind of fit together.
Yeah. So we feel that after the massive IoT hype, IoT companies should be humble and also recognize their place. So digital transformation is the bigger goal, we believe, to where digital tools basically help you improve your business, change your business, adapt it to the new world. IoT is just a very small microservice that potentially can help you do that. And our approach to that is that for this digital transformation, you have a toolbox. IoT is one, AI is one, big data is one, cloud is one, no code is one tool. And what we're trying to do is to make sure that the LoRaWAN technology we provide easily integrates into your digital transformation strategy. and basically is barely any visible, and also doesn't give you any headache. And the more and more we're seeing, and more and more we're becoming successful because our customers are successful. We see that the most simple and the simple integrated solutions that integrate directly into the business processes, they start to scale. So that's a bit of how we see digital transformation and Internet of Things.
And as we kind of talk about the growth of the Internet of Things, what are some of the biggest obstacles that you all have seen for companies when they're trying to build a solution? And whether it's they're building it themselves or they're building it, with a partner, or they're paying somebody to help build a solution for their company. What are some of the biggest obstacles that you've seen in these solutions being developed?
Yeah, so what we see, for instance, if there's a really strong need for a data point to be a part of an operational process, and that operational process, including the stakeholders of that operational process, have an incentive to make it work, then almost always it's a success. So then you're working backwards from the incentive and the need for that digital transformation to make it work. And then most of the times the puzzle pieces, especially now where the industry is right now, the puzzle pieces are there. When it gets a bit more complicated, when, for instance, vendors or suppliers get in the way by pushing, let's say, bloated software, let's say, IoT platforms, or like offering, let's say, too much and making it more complicated. Yeah. And so one of the advices that we always give is to our customers or the enterprises that have these problems, is that, hey, just keep it simple. Use the tools you know, use the tools you have, and use IoT as a very simple microservice to gather that data point. And don't get caught up with too many consultants or too many IoT platforms, because most of the time things are getting overcomplicated. And I think we're at a tipping point, or there's like, I really sense this level of inertia in the market where all of a sudden these simple solutions, they are being created, they are generating a lot of business benefits, and then they start to scale. So it's really nice to see that a lot of these puzzle pieces are falling together.
Now, talk to me a little bit also on the hardware side. So we know that hardware is always, or not always, but is oftentimes a challenge with these unique use cases out there and everything that we require in order for the hardware to meet the needs of the use cases. So how do you, when you work with companies, how do you help them prioritize or strategize and encourage them to invest earlier on in the hardware part of the process, and kind of what's your approach there?
Yeah, so if you look at the LoRaWAN ecosystem as a whole, we now have a few hundred hardware partners that have created off-the-shelf products. So the first one we say, okay, just don't start build your own hardware, look at it, look what's there. And of course, we have experience with a lot of these devices and we've highlighted them. And of course, we also know as a company which one are of higher quality and which are of lesser quality. But this abundance of availability makes sure that you can choose, and also make sure there's a market. Second, if you want to move into, let's say, custom hardware development because the sensor is not out there, or because you want to build up IP, or because it's, I mean, you can think of many reasons. What you now see is that with in the LoRaWAN ecosystem, there's a lot of libraries, there's a lot of tools, a lot of modules. It also makes it easier to build your own hardware. So we've started up with an open code initiative called the Generic Node, where we're offering the ecosystem a, let's say, example of how we feel what should be the perfect LoRaWAN device, and you can use it for inspiration, or we can help you further. And also there, what you see is that these puzzle pieces are starting to fall into place. That said, hardware is hard. Like, we're facing still a component crisis, and that's going to have a nasty tail, right? Like, this is not going to be over yet. So yes, hardware is hard. We're trying to make it a bit easier. And a lot of and the good news is that there is a lot of vendors out there that have ready-made products. So like the likelihood that you really need to get into this hardware development process also decreases, and that's a pattern, right? So that will, like, there will be more and more off-the-shelf products, and there will be less needs for customization, and yeah, that all really contributes to the traction we now see in the LoRaWAN ecosystem and in our business.
Absolutely. That's a fantastic way to kind of explain it there. Now, if we transition from the challenges piece to more of the how to be successful with IoT adoptions, we're in a situation where oftentimes what we see are the solutions that need to be developed are very specific. They're not, it's not necessarily this off-the-shelf opportunity to just purchase something and it works from end to end. So how can enterprises kind of approach that conversation where, there's going to be companies out there, they're going to say, oh yeah, we have off the shelf kind of solutions, and other ones that are like focusing more on the customization side. And so talk to me about how a company can interpret that conversation, approach that conversation, and best understand what's needed for them to be successful when they're starting out, understanding what they need to build.
Yeah. So usually what we now say is that you need to do your technology exploration. But if you look at the market and even other technologies that we don't support, like Narrowband IoT or Sigfox and anything else, there's quite an increased level of maturity across the board. So you can do your technology exploration, but that you should be able to trust the market and be pretty much finished up with that in a very short time. So the other part is that the most important stuff that you need to do probably is not exploring the opportunities, but exploring the problems that you have internally. We have seen projects that we did where data then just ends up in a dashboard or ends up in, let's say, a database, but it's not like the project. That the project people in the project were not able to convince their business or other stakeholders, say, hey, you can use this data because you can optimize this and that. Right. And I would say we're now in a market where there are so many commodity components that's not your concern. Your concern is to find the internal stakeholders that see value in the data and are your sponsors and are your advocates. And that's really how you build success. So. Yeah. And that's a positive thing, right? Like we used to talk about, there's no hardware, hardware is hard, and the networks are not there, and etc. But I would love to stir everybody now internally and say, hey, like, go fix your digital transformation plan first, and then come back later to us, and we'll have the workbench for you to make it.
Yeah, I think it's important for companies to understand how the planning piece really plays into this, and also having the buy-in from those that are important within the company to make this decision happen, and how key that is. So, you can have somebody who runs the IoT area of a company and is goes and starts a pilot, but if that pilot either doesn't return the ROI that they're expecting, or they don't have the buy-in from upper management, then it's tough to ever get to scale, which is not really what most IoT software development, hardware, whatever companies are interested in. We need to get to scale for us to benefit from not just the company itself, but also the company who built it, and the industry as a whole, so IoT can continue to grow. So I think that's a very important thing, is to kind of have that buy-in as early in the process as possible, set clear expectations, set a clear plan, work with a company who can help understand all the different components of an IoT solution and provide you the right pieces for your particular use case, and not feel like this is going to be just an off-the-shelf purchase, because it's too unique of a situation, in my opinion, for that to be a viable thing. There has to be some level of customization. Now, that level of customization may vary from project to project, but there's something that's unique to that individual business and use case, especially the way that their end users will actually interpret that data and how they interact with it. So I think that those are all important things to just keep in mind.
Yeah, and I agree with you. What you're saying is there's always this level of customization. So this issue we're seeing is that there's a lot of IoT platforms, and they can do 100 things, but they cannot do the 101st thing you need. And, and one of my issues that I have with IoT platforms is that like you miss that final level of customization, and you have now a complete generation of microservices microservice architectures, cloud, and low-code, no-code that are exactly solving that problem for enterprises by exactly giving that level of flexibility to create your own apps and create your own processes and flows, but also be able to get to service you in all these exceptions. So yeah, exactly what you're saying. Like you always need this level of customization, and we're trying to make sure that all our software is compliant with what they nowadays call the enterprise developer. So the enterprise developer is somebody with a generic skill set. They have some DevOps skills, they have some programming skills, they have some scripting skills, but where they're really good at is tying systems together. And our goal here is just to make sure that we are compliant to that, because the organizational impact that has when you introduce a new skill into a large organization is massive. You have to retrain, you have to reevaluate security, you have to reevaluate your architectures. But if you are just compliant to everything that the company already built, then adoption is easier, right? Then the stakeholder management is easier. Then the success is more likely.
Definitely. I definitely agree. Now, one of the things you kind of mentioned, we talked about low code, no code, which are relatively, I guess, new adoptions in IoT that are helping increase adoption. We've also seen more of the connectivity and sensors all kind of baked in together, kind of from the embedded side of things. How are you seeing that play a role in adoption within IoT?
Yeah, so if you look around cloud platform, low code, no code, that's all in the cloud, and it's also very easy to update, and it's super flexible, and it can scale vertically, horizontally, whatever. At the MCU sensor edge level, you don't have that luxury, right? So I mean, that's still a hard thing to do. You have some developments where you see that these real-time operating systems are trying to make your life easier. But yeah, I would be lying if I would say there is like you would have an enterprise developer fix your firmware problems. That is still a very specialized thing. But then again, that's what I said, right? There's a lot of off-the-shelf products available. I don't see a technology out there that really allows you to make that as easy as that, like low code, no code. But you see more like a modular approach. Particle IO, for instance, they have these modules. You put them in. And they also can help you with the firmware. So you have that. What we're doing with a generic node, like it's a boilerplate. You can adapt it, change it. You can get in touch with the partners that can help you to finalize it and industrialize it. But it's still a hard thing. So yeah, that doesn't come with the ease of low code, no code kind of development.
Yeah, definitely. I completely agree. Very exciting stuff kind of coming on the horizon, and we started to see implemented over the last year or so in the IoT space, that all connected to helping increase adoption, which I think is fantastic. Is there anything that maybe we haven't chatted about yet, or any kind of areas of IoT that you're most excited to see kind of evolve over the next year around that are going to help really play a role in companies adopting IoT more?
Yeah, so I think a humble approach to it is very suitable right now. We passed the hype. We're now with this trough of disillusionment. If you look at the Gartner hype cycle, and it's just hard work and making things stable, and like adding an extra 9 to the 99% availability and make it 99.9, right? And that is it's not sexy. It's not going to shout innovation, but it's really what the market wants, because they want to scale from, let's say, having temperature measurements of 1,000 fridges, and they want to have it in 100,000 fridges. It's a different game. We're investing heavily in making sure that, for instance, our software can keep running, and like the continuous development and continuous integrations, that you just have a very solid platform, even if you run large updates and have the data flowing, because IoT devices don't sleep, right? You can maybe plan your update on a website on a quiet moment, that doesn't work for our platforms, right? So I think that has been our focus. We have been focused on on a lot of, let's say, maturing things. So what are the developments to look forward to? Is this few things like making sure the humble approach of being just that simple microservice that delivers these critical data points, and another side, making sure you're compliant with this new governance type of doing IT,
right?
Because then through the IT channel in a company, you can get into the business processes, right? And then you're like, our customers now have a way easier sell internally, because it's easier to sell to their CISO, so the Chief Information Security Officer. It's easier to sell to their business. It's easier to implement themselves.
Right.
You don't lose the momentum. Like, it all goes more smooth. So is there any sexy thing that's going to happen in the next 2 years? I don't know. Probably not. It's probably what we promised 5 years ago, and doing that very, very well at 100,000 devices scale.
100%. Yeah, I totally agree. It's very, very interesting to kind of see how we've evolved over the last couple of years, and the areas that we've learned are the bottlenecks or the roadblocks for adoption, and figuring out how we can solve them. So I think, we're definitely still on that journey for sure. The last thing I wanted to ask you before we wrap up is we kind of talked a little bit about what we're looking for on the IoT front going forward. What about on the LoRaWAN front? What is the future of that kind of look like from your all side of things?
So what the future looks like is that we now see that the most in the segment that LoRaWAN is used is in sensor to cloud integration on premise and within enterprises. So stores, shopping malls, farms, mines, and that's really where it starts to grow. And because building your network is so easy, and also controlling the quality and the service levels also is more easy and easy. You see that's just the best way to go. And the investments, the capital expenses and the operational expenses are so extremely low. Like a gateway, you can get it for $200. And then you have an enterprise-grade gateway that can last for 5 years, has a battery backup, has a cellular backhaul, and then your building is covered for 5 years. It's like peanuts. Like, we're talking about like less than almost a few dollars a month if you would write it off over 5 years. So, so where it's going is that's scalable, right? That's a scalable cost model, and that's where the success is. So it's really in secure sensor to cloud integration on premise with the centralized management. So you have very little operational cost on DevOps or IoT ops. You just can get that from our cloud service, and the capital expenses are also so low, and the data keeps flowing, right? It's 5 years of temperature monitoring, for instance, 5 years of vibration monitoring. It's like, that's your capital expense, but you get the benefits for like 5 years. So the business case is there, the cost model is there. We just have to be humble, effective, and scalable, and then the market will come.
Fantastic. Well, to wrap up, I wanted to dive back into something we started to talk about at the beginning of this episode, which is the Things Conference that we have next year. Tell our audience a little bit more about it. Talk about kind of what the focus is, the overview, where it is, when it is, and how they can attend.
Yeah, so it's we moved it to 24th and 25th of March. Of course, a lot of the world around us is constantly changing. So that's the current date we set. We started the Things Conference because of all the conference we saw, there were either highly corporate sponsored, or there was no clear distinction between commercial interest and honest technology, let's say, presentation. So we said, okay, we want a conference where everybody can be vulnerable, everybody can be truthful about what they do and what they're good at. And that's going to be like a small ecosystem of, let's say, where we have a few days where we separate commercial and technology for the interest of everybody, of the ecosystem. And that resonated somehow very, very well, because people in the industry were lost, like, okay, of course, this company is saying this because it's in their interest that we get their services or products. And And that's where let's say the Things Conference originated, focusing on what we do is the LoRaWAN technology and the larger, let's say, the Things Network community.
Right.
And this is still what it is. Like, we have very strong rules for participants on what they present, and we are adding rules. So we are adding like rules around the content. So one of the rules we're adding now is that you need not only to tell us how you are doing the sensor to cloud integration, but also what's the digital transformation. Like, what is that data point going to change in a business process, and how would that pay back at least 10 times the IoT investment? And and that's, yeah, so we're trying to mature every edition, and the next maturity step that we're taking is that this whole IoT sensor to cloud integration only makes sense if you also tell us what the digital transformation was. So this is what you can expect from our next event. We'll have a series running up to it. So the Things Conference Embedded will be virtual 28th of January, where we're going to focus on the technology only. So also embedded and hardware. And then we have a series of events running up to the big event in Amsterdam.
Fantastic. Well, it's been very exciting. I know we were actively involved last year. We think it's a fantastic event. We're very excited for it to start, to come back this coming year. I know there's big things on the horizon with everything that you have going on both sides of the event and the company side. So I really appreciate you taking the time. If anybody wants to kind of find out more, learn a little bit more about the company, the event, what's the best way to do that?
Yeah, so go to, for the company, go to thethingsindustries.com. If you want to explore the technology, you can go to our, let's say, open source community, thethingsnetwork.org. And if you want to go and visit us at the conference virtually or physically, go to thethingsconference.com.
Fantastic. Well, Wienke, this has been a great conversation. Thank you so much again for being back on. We're excited to continue to be involved with the event, promote the event to our audience. We think it's a great thing, and we love all the stuff you have going on at the company around LoRaWAN and all the deployments, all the things you're doing to help the industry grow and that increase that adoption across the board. So thank you for everything that you all do, and thanks for being here today.
Yeah, thanks for having me again.
Absolutely. All right, everyone. Thanks again for watching that episode of the IoT For All podcast. If you enjoyed the episode, please click the thumbs up button, subscribe to our channel, and be sure to hit the bell notification so you get the latest episodes as soon as they become available. Other than that, thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.